Yeah, g'day YouTubers. Tinker O'Toole again with another video. Today I'm going to talk about quick change holder. So I finally brought one. I'm going to get rid of that one there. And we've brought this one there. It just came in the mail. I've just cut this open, so we're going to pull them out. I've got 10 pieces all together, so turn in and hold in. Turn in and hold in. There's actually quite a few of those. And we've got some, so there's 10 in the set. So this would be the actual unit 250 000. It's the smaller one. I really didn't need the bigger one because I don't have anything bigger than 12mm shank. It's all wrapped up, a little handle in there and that, so there it is there, 25 000. It's the Gib Type here, so I've made a little attachment for that. I'll show you that. So that's that one there. Open this box. Also came with a knurling tool, so this one is 250 007. That's the parting tool. Okay, that's the parting tool. So this is 2010. That's the knurling tool. 250 little rollers at the front there. So that's that one. And this one here is a fairly heavy one compared to the rest. It takes a boring bar. It's got a hole in it there. It's a 250 004. So I think it takes 3/8. Takes 3/8 there, and you push that little shim out or whatever it is, and then you can put 1/2 inch boring bar in there. And there's the nuts underneath. Grub screws underneath, tighten the boring bar up. So what we will do is start to unpack it, assemble it. I might have to put a... Now what's interesting, I've seen a few YouTube videos where people turn around and take these apart and put grease in them. I don't think grease is a good idea. We don't use grease on the lathe, we use hydraulic oil. Because one thing about using grease is that every tiny bit of metal chip will stick to it, whereas oil, it's not as bad. So that's why I prefer to use oil on this. It does have a base on the bottom. We won't be using that base. I have prepared, we'll just, I'll show you what I've prepared. So this is the nut that I've prepared. So the slide nut. And I made it out of 2 bits of metal because the one that's on the machine is a 1/2 inch hole. This is only a 10mm hole. So 2 bits of metal, welded them together. So we made that. And we also made a washer for it. So that's the washer there. So that should be okay. And we made this handle. Okay, so there it is. Assembled. It's only the handle to put on it. There's the T-nut. So 10mm there, thread, that's in there. We're going to mount it over onto the lathe, and we'll put this on top, see how this goes. I've drilled 3 mounting holes, 120 degree spacing, so that I make sure I get the handle in the position that I want. So I just mounted 250 000, that's a general tool holder, 12mm shank. And I noticed that the machining on is absolutely brilliant, very, very smooth. Yeah, really great machining. We've got it actually mounted. And this was the part that I made. So you got the quick release handle here. Now we can put a nut on there, but I decided I'd make this part up. It's just a matter of loosening that, and I can move that to any position that I want. Now you can do that with a nut, but I just sort of figure that it works better like that. As long as it doesn't get in my way, as I said, I can mount it here or here, spaced at 120 degrees apart. So it works good, and you can always use the nut and a spanner. That's the nut it comes with it. It fits on there, so that's what most of them all come with. So now the easy part will be just to mount this on here. Very tight fit too, so really good. I've seen some videos on YouTube where they're actually loose, so it's actually quite tight. So everything's good about it. Now it's just a matter of bringing this up and getting the tool height, the correct height. So we'll do that and have a look at that. So it's actually quite easy to set this up. All you do is adjust this nut here to get your right height up and down, and then you use a locking bar. They've got like a bit of a spring washer here, so you don't have to tighten this locking nut up. All you do is apply a bit of a pressure on it. And this is going to be so easy in the future, because it's just going to mean that all you're going to do is loosen the quick release like that, pull it towards you, sorry, away from you I should say, and then you'll just take that out like that there. So pretty straightforward. The other thing I noticed that everything's fairly tight, which is actually good, because nothing worse buying something and all the fitment's loose, because it will loosen up with use. So I'm glad that everything's nice and tight, which is great. A lot of times you might buy something and it's loose and it's all over the place and it's going to get worse. So yeah, really happy with the quality of it. It seems to be made really well. Just make sure that you've got plenty of oil on the gib. If you to have a look at an exploded view of that, you'd find out it looks like the jaws of a chuck on your lathe. They've got 3 threads on them. Now you can pull these apart. Just make sure if you pull it apart, this lever that's on here will be in a different position. So I've heard people do it and saying, oh, the lever's in the wrong position. Yeah, you pulled it apart and didn't pay attention to it. So what you can do if it's in the wrong position, you can adjust it to 120 degrees, because it's got like 3 threads, 3 spiral threads in there. So yeah, just a word of warning on that one. Okay, so what's actually really great about the quick release mechanism is the ability to adjust the height, the tool height. And that just means every single time I go in the drawer, I don't have to worry about setting the tool height. Sometimes when I'm doing a job, there could be 6 or 7 different bits of tooling that I need, and on the standard tool post, forever playing around, putting shims in, just, yeah, look, it was driving me crazy. So I've got a total of 6 of these. There's 3 that are flat bottom, and we'll show you the other one that's a little bit different. So this tool post holder is 250-002. So I've got 6 of those. 3 are one type and 3 are the other type. So we'll have a look at those now. So you can see with this one, 250-001, it's flat on the base, right? And the height is 13 millimeters, so you've got a millimeter to play with. So yeah, so that's your 250-001. I've got 3 of those that came in the kit. And if you have a look at this one, 250-002, you'll see that there's a little notch on the bottom. You can just see that notch on the bottom there. There it is. So that's to put round objects in. That's the idea of 002, whereas 001 is dead flat. So we've got 3 of each, which is quite a lot. Okay, so I've been fiddling around with 250-001 and 002, and the difference being that they're both flat on the bottom, but one's got like a little bit of a V shape right on the bottom in case you've got something round and you want it to sort of hold in there. So you've got 6 to play around with there, which is quite a lot. I've actually got 3 set up here. That's a bump roller. That's on 250-001, all adjusted for height. Bit of high-speed steel on 250-001, right? And bit of a triangle carbide bit set up on 001. So they're the three probably most common that I use. I've got another three to play around with. So then we'll look at 250004. That's the next one that comes with the kit. So 250004 is for boring bars, but unfortunately it's in 3/8.5 inch. And if you loosen the screws, there's two screws on top here, that just pushes out. So you've got 3/8 there and 1/2 inch there. So I can't use it because I've got 10mm. But anyway, what you can do if you wanted to, you could turn it down so that it would fit. So yeah, look, I'm sure it's going to come in use. But what I do like is the machine finish on it. I don't know if the camera picks it up, but this is a machine finish. This is a beautiful fit, really is. And it drops in so easily, right? Oh, helps if I drop the gib down. Just got to get used to having it up and down, then just pull it into position. So once you're used to it, it just slides off and on, but it's just getting used to it. So it's pretty easy. So yeah, that's that one. The next one is 250010, and you've got knurling rollers at each end. They're only little small ones, but nonetheless, you still got them. They'll still work all right. And you've got a blank here. You could possibly put a boring bar or piece of high-speed steel or whatever into that and mount it at the front. So that would go that way. But again, look at the finish of the metal. It's beautiful. And again, this will be a nice tight fit. There it is. So yeah, so easy. And you can see why I made this. And I spaced the 120 degrees because you may want to just knock that off a little bit, turn it to another position and lock it up. So that's why I made that, so that you could move it in different positions. So yeah, it really works good rather than using a nut and a spanner. So yeah, look, because I've got a lathe, you can make all these things. Okay, so we'll get on to the last one. Just loosen that off. The last one is 250-007. And you put a parting tool in there. And you can see how this has got a taper on it and a screw at the back, a grub screw. So as you turn the grub screw, that pulls down on the carbide or the high-speed steel bit. And you use that for a parting tool. The best part about it is once you've set these up at the correct height, you only need to do it once. Really works good. As I said, someone's gone, look, they've gone a lot of trouble and effort. It's machined really well. I can't knock the quality. The quality of them looks really good. All right. And let's face it, all this is a holder. So I paid 150 Australian dollars for 10 pieces. Now, I reckon that's an absolute bargain. And that means now that I've got another 3 tool holders to fill tools up with. But the ones that I showed you are the ones that I use most. So I really do like the idea that if I had a piece of metal in there and I wanted to try and make sure that it had too much run out on it, I put the bump roller on, locked that in a position, and off I would go. Now, sometimes I want the bump roller on the front. So in that situation, I'd have to take it off, because if I put the bump roller on the front, it's going to face the wrong way. So the bump roller is going to face that way, the wrong way. But that's how quick it is easy to change. And once you've set them up with the correct height. So the thing is, the question would be, it might be on some people's mind, this is a Hercus 9-inch lathe. This is 2500. Do you need to go up to the next size? Well, the answer would be that would depend on what tooling that you've got. If you're like me and you're only using 1/2 inch maximum, I only use 1/2 inch, 10 mil, 6 mil, all small stuff. I don't use anything bigger than 1/2 inch shank. But if you did, then you need to go up the next size up. But when you go up to the next size, the price is going to go right up. And if you go up, yeah, so the prices can be very expensive as you get bigger and bigger. The thing is, you've got 40 millimeters, I think it's 40 millimeters, just for those that want to know, because sometimes you may want to measure these things. So the actual height that you've got, I think that's 42 mil. We'll just check that again. No, 40. There it is. Right, so you've got 40 mil, right? And if you were to look at something like this one here, the actual holder, there it is there, 2820. So you've got 12 millimeters up and down. Now, when I placed it in here, I could go down about 6 mil, and I could probably go up about 6, maybe 7 mil on the bottom, and 5 mil I could go up, right? But there's no point for me to go up. That's in the middle, so that's why I opted for this. I thought it was a bargain for 150 bucks. And consider making one of these. If you've got a lathe, you can quite easily turn that up. They don't foul each other. They get in the way, or might get in the way a little bit, but it's, look, if you've got your hand, you can open and close that, so it really doesn't get in your way, really. But the convenience of just undoing that and rotating this to a different position, especially if you're getting into tight, fiddly little spots, you may want to just loosen this like that, just to get in a tight spot, and then just bring it back like that. So that's why I designed and made that bit there. Pretty simple to make. That probably comes to about the end of it with the 10 pieces. I've gone over every one of them. The other thing that I decided to do was pull this apart and put grease in there. Once the bit's in there, it's easy to pull apart, but I think the grease is probably better than the oil. So we'll go with the grease and see how that goes. It can stop parts getting in, but if the parts get in, it may get a bit gritty. But if that's the case, look, it really takes a couple of minutes to pull this apart. So I'll see how it goes. Other people out there may want to comment whether they just oil theirs or whether they grease it. One thing about the grease, the grease can work a little bit different the way that it lubricates. And yeah, so I just decided to put grease. It feels a bit smoother with the grease. I don't know if it's my imagination, but it certainly feels nice and smooth. So yeah, and the other thing is, don't over tighten this, because, you know, a lot of people over tighten things, and you don't want to be putting extra pressure on it than that's not really required. So yeah, just take it easy. I probably over engineered this, made it a little bit too strong. This is 8 mil bar, this is 10 mil bar, so I probably could have went with 8 mil bar. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I hope that information helps anyone that's thinking of getting one. The 250, as I said, the tool height is perfect for me. I've got a little bit of a washer down here that it sits on rather than in the open T-slot. So where the T-slot is here, I've got about a 4 mil piece of metal plate there. And I've got adjustment up and down, you know, almost 6 millimeters either side up and down. So it's roughly in the middle with that plate. So I didn't put that plate there to actually get even movement. The original one was on the Hercus, actually came with a plate. There's the original one there. So I didn't want to modify anything, because it just means that if I want to put this tool post back on, everything is original and it's a quick swap over. The advantage, I guess, that you've got over 20 millimeters gap between here, so it's quite large. And that means that I can use other tooling if I get into a spot of bother, but I don't think so, because Most of the tooling that I use are carbide bits of high-speed steel, and nothing's over 1/2 inch. But who knows, in the future, something might change. It didn't warrant me going up to the next size. It's up to you whether you want to almost pay double. You'll be paying it near $300 or over $300. I paid $150, and that was for one tool post holder, and one tool post, I should say, and 9 holders. So I thought that was an absolute bargain, especially with the knurling tool and the parting off tool. So yeah, lots of options there for me now. With all, you can buy the kits. Some of them just come with the tool post, and some of them only come with 2, 3, 4, 6, 5, 8, all different holders. But now I've got the 10 of them, I don't think I'm going to be short of anything. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye for now.